Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Hot Take with myself, Terry Flewers, and of course, Mr. Mark Goldbridge. Hit like button, subscribe, share, do all of the admin stuff, get it out the way, retweet if you're watching on Twitter. If you're watching on Spotify, a massive thank you to all of you that have followed, but get that 5-star rating up for us right now. Loads to talk about today with Ruben Amorim. Is he sacking imminent? We're looking at Arsenal and their humbling of rivals after the weekend. We've got some big takes on Liverpool and a big clip from Wayne Rooney to go through as well. But morning, Mark. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Champions League week. Yeah. I think we all just need to take our mind off stuff. We were talking about FC 26 there, weren't we? We're all living a fake life at the moment. So, scoring Man United goals, playing good football on computer. I think that's the way forward. Yeah.
Well, my favourite part was just getting rid of all the trash players that I don't want. And it's funny because I see a lot of United fans at the minute. No, everything that's going wrong is on the manager. It's on the manager. You watch them play FIFA. The first thing they do is sell all the dross players. It's like, so you do agree? They are bad.
I'm 2 weeks into my career mode, and I was like, said it to the chat. The big thing about that United team is, and this was when Amorim hadn't lost to Brentford. I was like, I've played career mode for years. That United side, I don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I like some of the players, but I don't like it. You know, you pick up Liverpool's team or Newcastle's team, you can build a team quite quickly and go, I want that, that, that. You look at the United team, you're like, ooh, it's just so many problems with it.
Oh yeah, awful. And I play a lot of counter-attack football. It's how I like to play on FC 26. And this United team is just not built for it. There is no speed. So I had to go out. I bought some good players though. I went and got Belieber straight away. Bit of Matoma. I bought Mateta. He's on the bench for me. I got Frankie de Jong as well, actually, because I got offered 110 million for Bruno by Real Madrid, so I accepted it. And bought Frankie de Jong, Cunha in the 10. It's been great. And yes, Twisted Bubba, grown men playing computer games. Just because we're grown men doesn't mean we can't have a bit of fun with a computer game, my friend. It's I know you love a little bit of AI fun on the internet. That's why you signed up to NordVPN. I'm just putting it out there, Twisted. You told me, but so I'm glad you're enjoying it. Loads to jump into. We're gonna start today with Manchester United. This is Jamie Carragher last night on Monday Night Football. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Still in a job because I think the powers that be and Manchester United have made that many mistakes so far and decisions that they've made on and off the pitch that they almost don't want to admit right now that they've made another. And this has been a disaster for Manchester United, but also Ruben Amorim. What he did at Sporting Lisbon was fantastic. You know, he looked like the next big thing as a manager, but bringing a manager like that in terms of the system that he played, I don't think ever really suited the club of the traditions of Manchester United. And the quicker Manchester United make the decision on the manager, I think it's better for everybody because, as I said, it's been a disaster for club, but also the manager. And we're only waiting for the inevitable, I think. Unfortunately, as Duncan's just said, you don't want to see people lose their jobs, but this has to end as quickly as possible.
What do you make of what's being said there by Carragher? Does it need to end as quickly as possible, in your opinion, Mark?
I don't actually disagree with a lot of what he's saying. I think sometimes from the outside in, you can, and we're very good at this, you can look at Arsenal and go, people are overreacting. There's a lot of good foundations there, and we've been proven right about that. So you can be an outsider. And I'm never a big believer in saying it's not your club, so you don't know what you're on about, as long as it's, not hate or toxic. And Carragher, being a Liverpool fan, could be, tormenting us. He could be bantering us. I don't think he is. I think he's looking at it in quite a sensible way. The only thing I would say is that, and this is where I'm struggling at the moment, is I completely take on board the inevitability of it. I completely take on board that this has been a disaster. Absolutely, only an idiot wouldn't. But where I sort of come up short is the sense of, it's that what you said last week. It's this hypothetical, it's time to sack the manager. And then you say to maybe Carragher, where do you go next? Now, I'm sure he's intelligent enough to give us a response. Some of the United fans don't. They're just like, well, that's not my job. I'm at the point now, and I thought I would have come out of it by now because it was Saturday lunchtime we lost to Brentford. I'm still very locked into the whole, I'm not Amorim out, but I know he's not going to turn it around. And people go, well, you're Amorim out. But listen, I don't know what to do next. I think with Ten Hag, I didn't want him to get sacked. But then when Amorim came in, I was like, oh, that's exciting. Let's get on board with that. When Mourinho got sacked, Ollie comes in. That's exciting. When it was Ten Hag or Pochettino after Rangnick, that's exciting. I have no excitement about who comes next. That's mainly because of the way the club is being run, but also I'm not convinced by any of the real other options. Now, I suspect that whoever comes in next, there will be an improvement, but I think I heard you say this, Terry, as well, to be fair. In 18 months, I don't think Oliver Glasner has Man United in the top 4. I think he has us maybe 5th or 6th, playing quite pragmatic football, and people will be going, get rid of him. Oh, we've just been to Anfield and parked the bus, and and I think when you've been round the hamster wheel, you know the story. And I feel at the moment like I completely agree the inevitability of sacking Amorim. Some of his decisions are shocking, but I can't say Amorim out because I'd be a hypocrite to what I believe in. I'm so tired of blaming managers. And I think fundamentally, even Carragher would acknowledge it, that he's talking about the decision to bring Amorim in. Like the decision to bring Amorim in and then not give him the players and, or give him the job in the first place. So I'm sort of in this position where I'm not sitting on the fence. I'm sort of saying, I don't actually know what to do next because I don't see any improvement because I actually am one of the few people who believes there's not a way back. Everyone always wants a cure. Everyone always says it's going to get better. I don't think it's going to get better. I think there's one change that changes Manchester United's destiny, and that is a change of ownership, and that's not on the table at the moment.
Do you know what's interesting, Mark? It's funny you say that because I get called online by a large group of Man United fans as top red because I'm not blaming. Essentially, I make excuses for Amorim when I say, the XG or the chance creation in this game was good or this performance was good, but the goalie made a mistake and we missed 3 big chances. We could have won the game today. That's seen as an excuse, and a lot of people that want Amorim gone attack that. I also, the actual top toxic Reds online despise me because I'm saying I don't think Ruben's going to turn it round. And what I don't want to do is just delay the inevitable because it becomes even more toxic. And I just feel that I'd rather us make a quicker decision than giving someone 1 game now to save their job. I find pointless. You employ people. I employ people. If someone's got 1 edit of a video or 1 thumbnail away from losing their job, you're better off just parting company anyway, because you're never going to build up enough trust over a couple of games. There's going to be another bad result in the next few weeks because of where we are. Is that going to make them go? What does 1 win against Sunderland do? That frustrates me. But again, you get called disgraceful and toxic because you want the manager out. And I'm a little more in the middle. I can see the value in bringing in an Oliver Glasner, bringing in a Areola. I can even see the value in a Southgate in the sense of, I don't think he's that great, but I can understand, would he make us win more than this manager? I think there's a good chance all of those managers increase our win percentage 10, 15, 20, 25%. I think it's doable. I think it's plausible. My fear is that I'm sort of seeing people go, I just want to play nice football. I just want to win more games. And I get that in the short term. But I also feel that, well, how long is that going to last? Because I feel that you might get 6 months of that and then you'll start to get frustrated. The discourse around this is very hard. I want to show you a few things. For instance, there's people now calling out saying that the open heart surgery claim from Ralph Rangnick was completely wrong, that we didn't need open heart surgery at that time. We were actually quite a good team. There's the element now that you can't blame players.
Well, we've not done an open heart surgery. Well, that's a massive Pratt comment, isn't it?
But yeah, and there's these comments that people saying that it's lazy analysis to say these players will sack another manager. People saying it isn't the same squad. It's been overturned each time. We're going down that path again. And by the way, I don't think either of those statements is 1,000% accurate or 1,000% false. But we're going into as United fans, we're going into the extremities again. And for me, I think we've got to remove Ruben. I want us to bring someone new in. My first focus for that new coach is, can you make us harder to beat? Can you make the football better? Can you start winning us more games? But I can't completely take my eye off the fact that we are still years away from where we want to be. And I agree with you. I'm someone that said I was going to give Ineos time before I made a full judgment.
You were an Ineos lover, let's be honest.
Yeah, well, that's what some people say.
Terry was telling us Ineos are going to be great. This is the apology. I'll listen to this. I'm going to be quiet.
This is it. I listen, Mark.
Apologize. Just apologize. It's fine.
As we know, Mark never exaggerates anything on social media or YouTube ever. He's always 100%. But no,
I never get anything wrong. But
no,
when
you
I
never
do,
do.
I apologize. Terry, just apologize. You got it wrong about Ineos. We're all waiting.
I feel like I might have been wrong.
Not? I used to be in court. Did you not back Ineos? And are you now going to apologise and say that they are bad owners?
I said I was going to give them time. I was going to give them a few years. I'm still not at that point yet. What I will say is I'm losing faith rapidly in them getting it right. I was hopeful they would, and I don't refrain from that. On a real level, I feel like right now, I feel like I got that wrong. On a real level, I do. And I don't feel ashamed for getting it wrong. I don't feel wrong to stay neutral and balanced. And for instance, in the summer, when everyone was raging about Garnacho coming back to training and going in on the ownership, I pushed back and said, well, it isn't true. And I'll still do that now. I'll still defend our club where I see fit. But at the end of the day, they brought Ashworth in and it didn't work. They renewed Ten Hag's contract and kept him at the club. It didn't work. They've gone for Ruben Amorim. Well. Yeah, spent 300 million, got Ruben in. That is so many mistakes in the first 18 months. And that's also why I'm not excited, though, about the idea of sacking the manager. As much as I can see the value in an Areola, in a Xavi, in Oliver Grasner, I can see the value in it, but I have almost no excitement because I feel like Man United, where we are, we could fall into a barrel full of boobies and we would come out sucking on our thumb. That's what I think Man United are. So from my point of view, I've lost a lot of faith in us getting back to where I would want us to be. Can we play better football with a different coach? Yes. But the thing is, what I know, and you know this because we lived through the Jose era, we just know that's only that is a painkiller for a brain tumor. That it's not going to cure us. We know we're going to be back here again. And I've lost a lot of faith, if I'm being honest, mate. A lot of faith.
And also, just going back to those comments there, people who say we don't need open heart surgery or the squad has changed a lot, you know, anybody can paint a picture and pretend it's like something that it isn't. Like, you know, we can all put a bloody saddle on a cow and say it's a horse. The reality is it's a cow. And the reality is that when you look at Amorim, and we did a show on the United Stand this morning where we've got somebody who's very close to the situation at United who does give us little bits. And they were I was having the chat with them yesterday coming back from Manchester. And I was saying, like, you know, what's the situation with Amorim? And then I was like, you know, what's the likelihood that in this final throes of his career, he suddenly goes, Bruno's out the midfield, Mainoo's in the midfield. Shaw's out of the back four, Yoro's into the back four, Lamens is in goal, Bienda's out. What's the chance that he just goes out in a blaze of glory to try and win the fans back? Because these are the things that have cost him his job. And I was told next to zero, because Amorim is quite detached as a manager. You see it at Carrington, he stands away. And like Mourinho, who's one of his role models, he has 10% of his squad that he actually has as his leadership team that he talks to, and 90% of it he just expects hard work and respect. And within his leadership team is Bruno Fernandes, Dalot, Harry Maguire, Casemiro, Tom Heaton, and maybe Luke Shaw. So he's not going to go on Saturday and go, Maguire's out, Dalot's out, Bruno's out. He's going to stick with those players. So these people who say, you know, these people who say we need open heart surgery and there's not been any change. Correct me if I'm wrong. Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Dalot, we're all here playing for Ollie. Forget Ten Hag and Rangnick. They were here playing for Ollie. And 3 of those players were on Ollie's senior leadership team. So if we're running the business, Terry, and we keep changing 8 other people every year, who's running the business? We've had a lot of turnover, but we're running the business. The same players are still running that team under Amorim that ran it under Ollie. So these people who talk about we don't need open heart surgery or we've had lots of change, mate, you can paint the house as much times as you like, but the house is still the same.
No, I totally get it, which is why I feel it's why I'm clashing with both the inners and the outers, and why I'm in the same camp as you. I'm not in either camp. I don't want to be in either camp because I feel both sides are ignoring glaring issues that are going to stop us from ever getting near where we want to be. Now, I understand the step change. I understand that the first step to getting back towards a team that could win a Prem is being harder to beat and playing better football. And I also agree with the outers that shouldn't take a year to play better football. I think it should take a month or two where you can really see the ideas and whether they're going to work. And I kicked the can down the road a little bit too much with Ruben Amorim. The reason I did it, I'm not embarrassed by it. It's justifiable. It took him a while to get it working at Sporting, and there was a reference point where you go, okay, well, it starts this way, it goes, this happens, and then it gets better. I was just willing to wait that period without going mad every day to see whether it worked. Some people weren't willing to do that, and that's absolutely fair. But I find that what we're ignoring is a lot of egos, a lot of dick measuring competitions at the moment, which is my ball knowledge is better. One guy called me out on a show, said, Terry, I told you back in June that he weren't the guy, or May. I said, yeah, you probably were right. Then another guy super chatted in and said, you're an idiot yourself, James, because I was telling you back in December it wasn't right. So don't you try and claim that your ball knowledge is better than Terry's. And I was laughing inside. Obviously, this is half the issue. It's more about people saying I was right than what's the solution to get the club back to where we want. And I agree that we've got to play better football in the beginning, but just letting these players off the hook is something I'm not going to back down from. If people want to interpret that as you're defending Ruben Amorim, then that's fair. Equally, I don't think Amorim is going to turn this round. There's too many stories, too many leaks from the dressing room, too many stories of him being disconnected. But I wanted to play this clip here from Wayne Rooney and take a listen to what he said about the situation and state of the club.
Go and put Roy Keane right in the heart of that dressing room. Go and put Paul Scholes right in the heart of that dressing room.
Wayne Rooney?
I'd go straight in there and go and put these people in that dressing room and show people what this club is, what it means. I never grew up a Man United fan. I grew up an Everton fan, but I spent that much time at the football club. My family, over like me 2 children now at the football club, I've been involved in that club for over 20 years. And what we're seeing, it hurts. My eldest boy has seen Man United win a Premier League title. My second boy is nearly 13. My kids don't know what Man United is being successful. I want them to see that.
What do you make of his ideas of putting Scholes and Keane into in the heart of the dressing room to help fix the club? Do you think that's the remedy?
I love it. I love it, and I think I've never met Wayne Rooney. I don't know, what level he comes in at in relation to football and Man United fan. But there's certainly going to be a lot of us that look at that and go, yeah, chuck Roy Keane in there. It's great. The problem with that is we literally chucked Ronaldo in there as a player who said, do this, and then he sat there and went, I'm telling these players what to do, and they're getting in the car and they're going home. So we had Cristiano Ronaldo as a player. Roy Keane would walk in there and give them a team talk, and he wouldn't be on the pitch. As we all know, having played the game, coached the game, whatever, you can tell everybody everything on a Thursday and Friday, but what you get on a Saturday is what they decide to do on a Saturday. Ronaldo was in there Thursday, Friday with them, telling them what to do. And then he was on the pitch with them on the Saturday and they still weren't doing it. So I don't think it's as simplistic as that. But I think what somebody said on our show last night on the United Stand 8 o'clock show was brilliant. Play the blame apportion game, because everybody can play it. You have manager, you have players, you have owners. There is 100% of blame. How do you allocate it out percentage-wise? So I said 60% ownership because it's been 10 years of this. I said 25% players because they can't win 2 games in a row and they're massively inconsistent. And I said 15% manager because he has to take some responsibility for results and bad selections. But if we remove the manager, I still think you've got a huge amount of blame that's there. So I think Wayne Rooney's saying, let's chuck Roy Keane in and tell him off. But do you think they've not been told off by Ten Hag, Ronaldo, Amorim? They just don't have the minerals. And also, we don't play good football. We the owners don't set the owners. You shouldn't need to get Roy Keane in the dressing room. You should have an owner that walks in and says, I pay you bloody wages. You play shit football. You don't get results. You're out. There's no accountability. Roy Keane can't give accountability. He can just walk in and go, your Man United players, nonsense and all this. And we can all do that. But ultimately, the guys that pay their wages, it comes down to how make Roy Keane the owner. Now we're talking. That's the thing.
Well, I love Wayne Rooney as a player. He's a legend for the club. But this is also the man that was in the dressing room for multiple years at the beginning and the medium period of our decline. He spoke and he stood by his words on this, that we'd lose games. He'd come into the training ground the next day and it was a party atmosphere. Everyone was having a good time. It wasn't serious. But he also said that at that point, sort of that new generation of players had taken over the dressing room and they were in charge. So you were there with Michael Carrick and you couldn't stop that then. No disrespect. You boys are legends. You know, I'd like to sit and have a drink and talk about, I'd love to talk about the story. I'd love to learn about the inside. I'd love to have a chat with them. But you're going to walk into that dressing room now. If he believes the players are an issue, because I think that's what he's saying here, players are an issue. He's going to walk into the dressing room, tell these players off, and they're going to go, who are you, old man? Because they were essentially saying that when he was playing with them. So I think we can all get suckered into these ideas because they sound good. My dad used to say that when I was younger. One of the only things that I now look back on, God, with England to be playing badly, and he was like, oh, go stick some of the, you know, the 66 squad in that dressing room, let them put a rocket up their bums, it'll make them play better. And as a kid, you go, yeah, it will. But then you realize there was loads of ex-England players on the coaching staff and players that had won things. We then brought in international managers that were considered world-class, like Fabio Capello, and none of it helped. I mean, ironically, the best we've actually been in my lifetime is with a manager we all didn't think was very good in Southgate. Ironically, when the expectations got lowered, England got better. And there's an element of that to be discussed in all of this.
Gary Neville was Roy Hodgson's assistant coach.
Yeah.
In 2014 World Cup. You know, you've got a guy who's won the lot, who's been a captain, who can probably walk in there and go, you need to do this. But that's not how. Also, the modern player is just, you know, somebody just said there, Roy Keane would have been on a fifth of what Bruno Fernandes earns now. And if Ronaldo is saying to Rashford and Garnacho, you need to do this, and Greenwood, you need to do that, and they're not doing it. I mean, you've got one of the greatest players that's ever played the game, who's literally been in the position of being a teenager at Man United. And he's saying to teenagers, this is what you need to do. And they're getting in the car and going home. That tells you the modern footballer. So I love what Wayne Rooney's saying. And I saw it and it resonates. But when you scratch the surface of it, you go, it's not that simplistic. Make Roy Keane the owner of the club, then you get change. Put Roy Keane in the dressing room as a cheerleader or even a manager, I don't think it changes, because even managers don't demand respect to Man United players. They go, why are we training in the dark? You know, the manager doesn't have the power at Man United. The owners have fucked this club. We all know it.
No, I totally agree, which is why there's comments like this that says, stop fence sitting right now. Are you keeping him or not?
Fair question. Yeah. Answer it, Terry.
No, I'm moving on. Yeah, you do it, Terry. I would move him on. The problem is that people want this to be a very binary solution, and they want you to say the manager out so they can go, yes, I was right. I told you he weren't good enough. And I agree, he hasn't been good enough. And if you go back and look,
I agree with you, by the way.
Yeah, if you go back and look at even the games where I'm chastising the players more than the manager, still holding him to account for things that he's got wrong. But at the end of the day, what I am not going to be gaslit, bullied, or forced into doing is pretending that I believe we're going to be absolutely fine when a new and competent or better coach comes in. I still think we're going to hit a brick wall. Like someone said to me the other day, I think you're being harsh on your squad saying it's average, Terry. I said, well, where do you think it will finish in the league with a manager making it perform at its optimum best? They said 8th. Well, that for me is almost a definition of average. But this is why conversations are important. Because when you actually start talking... Sorry, go on, mate, go on.
I said this yesterday. You know, when Ten Hag finished 8th and won the FA Cup, it sounds quite good now, doesn't it? 8th in FA Cup.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep Ten Hag, but not because he finished 8th. 8th is shit for Man United. It's absolutely abysmal. Let's not... People are better than 15th. Yeah, it's a higher number, but it's still absolutely shit. But I agree with you. Like, that's a great question, because he's saying you've got to go one or the other. I don't believe in absolutes, by the way. I don't believe in yes or no or sack him or not. But in this case, let's play the question. If you're asking me, I've got to move him on or keep him. The logical thing is to move him on. But there is a third choice of I'm actually not sitting on the fence. I'm just saying I don't think either solution is going to actually help this football club, because when we sacked Ten Hag and I was against that, but Amorim got the job, I was massively excited by the project. There is no manager, I don't think, that is going to make me go, oh, I'm really excited. And that's really sad, because when you do something a lot, it loses its excitement. And I think sacking another manager, especially within 12 months, is the biggest failure of ever. I mean, it's as bad as Moyes. Moyes was a huge failure because he got sacked in 8 months.
Yeah.
So we're back there, aren't we? Which was over 10 years ago.
I agree. I agree completely. And I think that, listen, I hope I'm fundamentally wrong on every level. And I hope my semi-apology around Ineos is retracted. I hope that, let's just pick Oliver Grasner. I hope he comes in and I hope there's an instant improvement. And I hope that new bounce and improvement becomes consistency. I hope we become a top 6 team this season, a top 4 team the year after, win the league the year after that. And we all look back and go, actually, we were squad building very well. We were fixing the culture. We did have a much better squad than we all anticipated. And it was just Ruben in that whole rebuild process that was holding us back. I pray to every football god. I pray that happens. And I can sit there and go, I had nothing to worry about. I was completely wrong. You guys, this time round, first time in 6, you were right that just sacking the manager was going to make us better and we'd grow from that point. Because I only want Man United to be better. I just don't believe that. So that's my issue with answering. I'll answer the question. He has to go, but I won't leave it there because I don't think it's as simple as that. And on your blame game, I put 70% of the blame on the ownership. And then for me, it's 15-15 between manager and players afterwards. Because even if it is the coach's fault, it's still the ownership that brought him in. It's still their recruitment, essentially, the team they put together to do the recruitment. They've still kept a lot of players at this club that we wanted gone, and they've had 2 summers to move people on. So I'll never move away from looking at the ownership far more than any manager or any group of players. Because I do agree, if we went and got the best owners in the world and the debt was cleared, if you swapped our ownership with City, if you swapped our ownership with Arsenal, if you swapped our ownership with Liverpool, if you gave Brighton's ownership to Manchester United so they didn't need to sell the players they found, we'd be a much better team in 4 or 5 years' time. So this year from English Talent says Rooney, Rio, Vidic, Evra, down tools under Moyes. This is a great point. It's a great point. You're absolutely right. Malacia, left wing back, could see United challenging for top 4. Yeah, he's back in the squad, isn't he? Malacia. He's back. In fairness to Malacia, he was one of the only members of the bomb squad that wasn't misbehaving or mouthing off in the press. I don't really have too much of an issue with that personally. Patrick here, hope you're well, Patty. He says, do either of you think the board know what direction they want to go in regards to manager? Feels like this is part of the delay. They don't know what direction to go in.
100%. Yeah. I said this. It reminds me of Ollie. They had absolute, and I know this, and we know this, it's there. Ollie got pumped by Liverpool at home, and it completely caught the club by surprise. They had nothing in place. And I think that's poor planning anyway. You should always have a backup plan because, you know, God forbid that life can pull the rug for multiple reasons. You know, you look at what happened with Jota in the summer. I mean, that just shook the world of football. So you just never know. And in any business, you've got to have contingency plan. And I think with regards to Solskjaer, Man United didn't have a plan. And that's why we sort of went into an international break and everyone went and hid. All the club went and hid. They were like, there was nothing coming out. And then we had to come back and lose to Watford, and then they made the change. I feel like they're balls deep in Amorim. And I know that's not a great thought, but it feels like they are absolutely all in on this because it's their choice. Like they made such a 180, you know, to go from a 4-3-3 to a 3-4-3 and a guy that is clearly going to need, you know, a lot of investment, and to get him, remember they got him in early. He didn't want to come in November. He wanted to come in the summer. So they are massively culpable. They definitely want to stick with him. But I think this week I think the amazing thing is, Terry, is like the Brentford result was sort of like we were talking last week. He's got to beat Brentford. He's got to beat Sunderland. And then, you know, he buys himself a bit of time, you know, build this season. Next summer, Bruno will be gone. You know, things could get better. That Brentford result has sort of made everything change. And I don't think they've got a plan in place. I think this week they'll be scrapping around for a plan because you can't not have a plan. Because if you lose to Sunderland on Saturday, there's only one way to go. So I think they'll desperately be hoping he can stay, and they'll be desperately scratching around for a solution as well this week. But I don't think pre-Saturday they had a plan at all.
Yeah, it's interesting listening to the journalist speak about it because Fabrizio's kind of said his job's not safe, but there's been no contact with managers. Ben Jacobs, who got a lot of things right early on for United in terms of watch out for this player, that player. He's talking about lists being drawn up, which I am glad they're doing. There has to be a contingency as an example. I think what they're more deliberating on, and this is where my faith is being tested. You've gone down this road of 3 at the back and you're building a squad for it. And I know that there is reports that the players are more multifaceted than that. But are they going to go for an Oliver Glasner and keep the shape the same? And then there's this big... Because part of me is almost like, if Glasner comes in and makes it work in that formation, then we know it was Ruben. If he comes in and fouls in that formation, then we know it. Then you kind of know it's more the players, right? Equally, if we change and go to a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, I know Carragher last night said we have the players for it, but we have centre-backs that have typically struggled in a 2. The only one who hasn't really played in the 2 at this club for us has been Lenny Yoro. The fullbacks are always defensively suspect. Now that might be even worse. We have no left wingers. I know Cunha can play there, but we have no left wingers. So it's going to be an interesting one to see. By the way, I want to thank Sadiq, who's gifted out 5 memberships to our audience today. A big, big thank you to you. Before we move on, if you are watching over on X, it's going to go now exclusively to YouTube. So if you are watching, there's a link in the post. If you're watching it, click on that link. Come and join us now on YouTube if you want to continue to watch the show. We've got some great clips to come up and show you. So get that clicked right now and get yourselves across to us now. Up next, I want to talk a little bit about Arsenal because I feel like they've humbled a few people with their win at the weekend, Mark. And the first clip I'm going to show you is of a Newcastle fan who's gone from hating Liverpool to now loving Liverpool because of one result. Let's take a little listen.
Liverpool fans, I want to make an apology. I'm sorry, and I'm going to go one further and say I hope you win the Premier League if it's between you and Arsenal. You know, this whole summer we had, I thought that you were the worst fan base. How wrong I was. I completely forgot about Arsenal. Matter of fact, I'm not even on about the fan base here. Their players in Mikel Arteta epitomises what every single football fan, apart from Arsenal fans, funnily enough, absolutely hate. Why? Why, when they've got such a good squad of footballers and a half-decent manager, do they choose to roll around and cry for every single challenge and yet again just be completely unbearable? They could be such a likeable team, you know. Look at this starting 11 against Newcastle yesterday. They've got some fantastic players in there. Hinsapi injured, of course. Odegaard was on the bench. Even the likes of Kai Havertz. Like, why do they choose to be this unlikable? It is literally the equivalent of me rage baiting, you know. Like, they are the football and rage baits of the Premier League, I'm telling you now. Look at Saka yesterday. These little things always go against us. That's a grown man, not a 15-year-old on Twitter. That's Arsenal's captain. And this is one player I love. I love Bukayo Saka so much because every time he plays for England, not only is he one of our best players, but he gets kicked to death, let's admit it, and he just gets up and doesn't say a word. But when he puts on the Arsenal shirt, funnily enough, that's when he starts to cry like a baby and whinge for every single foul, like he did yesterday. Like, just pack it in, man. It's so jarring, honestly. Just the fact that they got their own way yesterday, do you know what I mean? Like, crying for every foul, doing all the slide tricks and tactics that they do. Just, they've got so many good players, play good football. Everyone would love to see that. But no, they choose the rage bait and just annoy the hell out of teams.
The rage bait. They picked the rage bait. I mean, there's some foreshadowing in there. I mean, Arsenal's win markers seem to have really triggered people.
Well, I mean, I'm not getting that 40 seconds back, am I? I mean, I don't really know what he's actually talking. I mean, if that's what TikTok's all about, I'm glad I'm not on TikTok. I was waiting for something to actually, I mean, I just realised actually halfway through the accent, and it's just a salty Newcastle fan, isn't it? I mean, what is he actually saying? Like, you know, team wins a game and has an opinion. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I watch football. I interact with my live chat. The game ends. I switch it off. I do a match reaction. I leave it to the chat, and I come back the next day. I don't really take any notice of players going like that, what they say after the game. I mean, I watched the game. I thought it was a very, very, very good performance from Arsenal. I predicted Arsenal are going to win the league, which I feel is a little bit out there. But I feel that this is the summer where he's added the striker. They've got an amazing squad. I mean, they are missing people like Havertz and Odegaard, Hincapié and Madueke and Ben White sat on the bench. They've got such a good squad. And I thought that was a real game shifter, winning at Newcastle. It felt like 2 years ago they lose that game and then they win the game. And Newcastle are a fantastic side. But the right team won. And I don't, you know, I think it was a terrible weekend for VAR and the PGMOL again. Man United were victim of it. Brighton were victim of it. Arsenal were victim of it. But thankfully, the results weren't the wrong results. And that wasn't the wrong result. But Arsenal are always going to be there to hit at. We've spoken about this a long time. Liverpool are going to be there to hit at because they're at the top. But yeah, I don't really see anything about Arsenal at the weekend other than a really impressive result. And I think that obviously Arteta got pelted. I even said it. We said it last week for his approach to the Man City game. Goes to Newcastle more on the front foot, and he should be getting the praise this week.
Did you see what Richard Keys said?
I try not to.
And this is where I have more of an. This is a salty Newcastle fan. I thought it was an extremely funny hot take. As in, what are you doing, mate? Rage bait football is obviously a new term. As if they go, right, what we're going to do today, guys, is we're going to play a brand of football that's going to wind up everybody on Twitter. As if any club thinks like that. But it's great. Richard Keys said, makes me, it's so fun. It's funny, but I actually think quite dangerous for a professional pundit to say. Mikel Arteta doesn't trust his team. That's why he stands up for large periods of the game. He said, you can tell if a manager trusts his team if he picks the scene, puts out the tactics, and then sits down for the majority of the game and only gets up when he has to change a little thing. They then said, the panel, Andy Gray and McAteer, that the Klopps, the Joses, the Peps don't get up, stand around and get animated on the side of the pitch. And then what Richard Keys said, I couldn't believe this bit. He then said, if I was one of the players, I'd get annoyed. I'd turn around to the manager and say, listen, I'm playing, you're not. And there's a reason for that. So be quiet. It's weird, right?
It's very weird. Thankfully we don't have to watch this, but it sounds like, prayers for the people who have to watch that in whatever country it is. And also that sounds like the descendancy into madness. Is he walking around with a tinfoil hat on? I mean, I've never heard such. It's, some people, I don't watch it. He used to be on Sky many, many years ago. You get told of these anecdotes and you sort of like go, that passes for mainstream punditry, does it? I mean, Jurgen Klopp was on his feet fisting the crowd, like that, 10 times a game. Like every manager, I've been a manager. It's very hard to sit down as a coach. Very hard to sit down because you are, animated. You want to be involved. So, I mean, that's a stretch, isn't it, really, to say that?
No, I agree. I mean, imagine turning around and saying, well, I'm the player, you're the manager for a reason. Yeah, age. Generally, most managers are managers, not players anymore because of age. Now, I can understand a striker at Arsenal turning around to a striker at Leyton Orient and saying, who are you criticizing? Look where I play, look where you play. I can understand that to a certain degree because there's a gulf in class between the two. Especially if they're making out like, oh, I could do better than you. But a manager who's, doesn't matter if he's late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, they're a manager normally because they've retired. That's why one's playing, one's coaching. The fact that he said that is just crazy. But you are right. Arsenal, but the reason why I'm not surprised to see all this stuff is Arsenal were fantastic at the weekend. And whenever Arsenal were fantastic, you don't just get you'll get some, because I think Carragher yesterday was saying that some of their play yesterday was world class, and it was. But the amount of people on TalkSport, the amount of social media content creators, the Richard Keys of this world, what you kind of then get is this sort of, they make up nonsense to still try and make things look bad. And I don't know, maybe it's my age, maybe I'm getting too old, maybe I'm becoming boring. I just look at that and think, I feel like you then kill moments of good banter or moments where you can stick it to a rival because you're constantly looking for a negative and it kind of loses its effect. It's just crazy to me.
I think it's great for Arsenal as well because I want a title race. I think Liverpool had a brilliant start to the season. 5 from 5 is not to be sniffed at. They lose to Palace with a last-minute goal, which is so ironic because they've done that themselves. And then Arsenal, we get a last-minute goal against Newcastle, and suddenly they're 2 points off Liverpool, and you're rubbing your hands because I'm like, when Christmas hits and all those the Bundesliga, the Italian league, they don't have Christmas football. We do. Boxing Day and all that, and you're looking at a title race. That's what we want. I think we're getting a relegation race as well. Celebrate. The Premier League's had a lot of stick. It's the Premier League. It's the league we watch the most. There's so much to be negative about around the Premier League. Let's celebrate some of the positives this season, that we've got a really interesting title race and a really interesting relegation race.
I agree. And look, maybe working in football now, changes my outlook. When I used to just watch a game or two a week, turn it off, go to work, do live that life, I think I felt about it a little differently. So I understand if you're somebody that just turns on the TV, watches your team, watches the big match each weekend, and then doesn't really engage. You might read a few articles, listen to a few things during the week. I kind of get it doesn't matter to you. But I think two things. If you work in the industry, whether you're a mainstream media content creator, you need Arsenal. City are on a little resurgence right now. It's good for us because we talk about football, and if there's nothing to talk about, it just makes the day really boring. It makes it harder to do what we do, and it makes the game in itself. Okay, Liverpool have won, but what does it mean? They're already 8 points clear. Great, Arsenal have won, but they're 15 points behind. So it kind of means nothing in the grand scheme of the season, especially the latter end of things. And even if you're a user, you're just someone who watches all these shows, you are still involved in it in that way. Because the difference between social media and the mainstream media is you guys, your comments are up on the screen, you're involved, you're on. Why do you not want there to be 2 or 3 good teams in a title race? If you guys get your wish, then you end up in this situation where the whole season's boring. And I love this sport, but I love it because it's exciting. Not just the individual games, but those games are more exciting when there's something on that goal. I thought Gary Neville, his commentary, I loved his commentary at the weekend. I often don't, but I did. When that Gabriel goal went in, he's like, whoa, that's big. He was right. It was, and we need more of that in this game, and it's important. Nick here says, to be fair, Richard Keys can say what he wants. No one is listening. He's on a prison ship with Andy Gray, circulating the Middle East circa 25 years. Yeah, they do get traction on socials, though. Speaking of that, though, here's Gabby Abonglahor. You'll like this, Mark. Getting called out on Talk Shit.
Gabby. I've been waiting patiently for this call since since you came out with that horrendous prediction when the fixtures were released in June, saying Arsenal would lose 3 of their opening 6.
You look at Arsenal's first 6. Manchester United away, first game. I've gone for a draw. Leeds at home, I've gone for a win for Arsenal. Liverpool away, loss. Forest at home, I've gone for a win. Narrow win for Arsenal. Manchester City at home, I've gone for a loss. And Newcastle away, they don't do very well there. Arsenal have gone for a loss. That's 7 points out of a possible 18. I've gone for Arsenal. That wouldn't be a great start for them.
Can I apologise? Will you accept my apology, Nick?
I would love your apology live on air.
I apologise, Nick. I apologise, Nick and Mikel Arteta, for Arsenal winning games that they should win.
Look, see, for me, that's fine. That's a little dig. Like I get that, and I've got to say, I don't know about you. Fair play to Gabby. He just took it and was like, yeah, fair enough. I got that wrong. And that's just a prediction that he got wrong. And at least he kind of, I'm glad that caller phoned back in, though, to have a go at him. It was quite funny, I thought.
I mean, it typifies it all, doesn't it? Arsenal, some people have a real big problem with Arsenal. I would not look at those opening 6 games and predict they'd have 7 points. I think it's, I think Arsenal... second place is probably where most people are going to put them. So they're not going to go and lose to City at home or Newcastle away, really. Predictably, they could do, but I wouldn't think that would be possible. People want them to fail. There's just something unlikable about Arsenal that obviously triggers quite a lot of people, which fortunately I don't have it for some reason. But I would rather Arsenal win the league than Liverpool and Man City as a Man United fan. But as I said on Sunday, it's not like Man United fans like Arsenal, you know. I would rather Newcastle beat Arsenal, to be honest with you, because I prefer Newcastle to Arsenal. So, look, I think the way Arsenal have run themselves over the last few years is to be commended. And I understand why Arteta's not necessarily the most likable manager. I think there are Arsenal fans that don't warm to him. But in fairness, it's always been a very obvious, steady build. And last season, they finished second and got to the Champions League semi-final, which is progress. Second Champions League semi-final is progress, but this year's a big year for them, and I think that they're set up to win it this year. It's going to be very interesting.
They certainly are, and the thing with Gabby, he's taking it on the chin, like I've said, but there is that element of, did he give that prediction and really mean it, or did he give that prediction in the first place to wind up Arsenal fans? I've seen a lot of that, because I saw Gooners on my show on Sunday being called out for saying they've given themselves a really good base to try and win the Premier League from. You're getting ahead of yourselves. You're going too far. I don't think they are. The amount of people that came on my shows and said, we had one guy say, Sam said that if they lose to United opening game of the season, their entire season will collapse. Many predicted 7-8 points max out of their opening 5-6 games. The fact they've walked away with 15, no one scored more goals than them, best defensive record. I don't even think they've clicked yet. I don't even think they've got the best out of Gyökeres yet. It is a great foundation and base. And I suppose the frustrating thing for me is it's okay to stick it to a rival and give them a bit of stick. But you know, when they kind of prove you wrong, just be humble for at least a few days and go, yep, got that wrong, hands up. Harold here says, after 6 rounds, 60 games, how many teams have accumulated XG of, I can't read that because the box is in my way, XG
2.5.
of 2.5, 120 teams. Arsenal are blatantly underrated and ridiculed, and I'm a Manchester United fan. Yeah,
I hate XG.
Do you? You're not an XG fan?
No, it's always wrong. I don't really understand it. And what does it do? You know, at the end of the day, if it's 3-1 and XG says something else, couldn't give a shit. I don't really understand what XG is. I don't think there's many managers out there going, oh, our XG's been brilliant. I mean, look, if you're trying to save your job, you might. But I mean, ultimately, I grew up in a world where you know how many shots you've had. And from the eye test, I can tell you without looking at the stats who deserve to win a game. In fact, I think sometimes stats can mislead you. So the XG thing to me, the bollocks.
I get you. I used to think that way and I don't anymore. And the reason I don't is because let's just say, for instance, you lose 3-1, but you add twice as much XG. Doesn't prove anything directly, but it's the indicators. Did you have good chances to score and miss them? Did you have half chances that weren't executed? Did your opponent score? I'll give you Mo Salah is a great example. The amount of goals he scores the amount of times he's above his XG. He scores above XG because he scores a lot of half chances. We messaged last night. Bowen's goal. I know there's a slight deflection. I really want to see Mbumo and Cunha start scoring some of those goals, which they did for their respective clubs, where they're not gilt-edged chances, but they're scoring them still. I think it gives you an indication in those areas. But equally, you're right. XG can be also be misleading. You've got to watch the game because most of United's XG against Brentford came from the 3 shots Šeško had to score his goal because they were all. So you have to. I think it's like anything. I think balance is so important to look at when it comes to these things. Glaston said he'll play whatever formation suits his players. He has played many formations for 4-4-2. When you guys get a chance, watch his interview. I will, but he also said that the system, i.e. the formation, isn't the issue. It's about how players apply themselves to it, which is exactly what Ruben Amorim has said. So this is my issue, what people will do, not you personally, Daniel. They'll take that part and go, this is what we need. But then you'll ignore the bits where he echoes exactly what Ruben says. And I'm a little bit of a believer in that. I don't think... Just go and look at the win percentage in the Premier League. From the last time United won 2 games on the bounce, back in February 2024, from there onwards, go look at our win percentage in the Premier League under Ten Hag. I think it's in the 30% percentage area. And then if you go from sort of the beginning of last season until he got sacked, it's where we are now. Ruben hasn't improved it, but we were also going this way as well. We can't ignore the facts here, but people will just to be on Ruben's neck. But he has done a bad job of improving us. Now, a little bit of fun before the end of the show. I saw this tweet, and obviously it's from City, and they're saying away match, they're going to play AC Monaco. And then I saw the quote tweet, which is, you'll never believe who the Monaco coach is. And I thought, I thought it's going to be like a player that we haven't heard of for years. I thought we might be getting, the Ian Wright meme. I thought you were dead. I thought it'd be somebody like that. Oh, it was better. He's an Austrian, and his name is Adolf Hutter. And I don't know why, Mark, this sent me, because I couldn't believe in 1970 when he was born, his parents called him Adolf. I didn't think, why? I mean, they shortened it to Addy, but his name is Adolf. And his surname begins with a H, and he's from Austria. I'm not casting any aspersions. I want to be very clear. But why were his parents? Were they fans? I don't know. What's going on, Mark?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Is it a name that you just don't use anymore? I don't know. I mean, I've never met anyone called that. Yeah, I mean, if I speak, and I'll leave it there.
Yeah, Hutter. Sorry, Hutter is how you pronounce him. It's Adolf Hutter is his name. And I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've still got a child's sense of humor or a dark sense of humor. I just felt like He's born in 1970, so you are talking a good 30 odd years. Okay, a good 30 years. Am I being stupid? Yes, 25 years. 25 years since. That's crazy. I don't know. Do Italians still get called Mussolini? I don't know. I don't know the rules. I don't know the rules anymore. Let me know, people, in the comments section below. Listen, he failed a painting class too, did he? I also heard
AI said this. I've just said, is Adolf a popular name in Austria? No, it's not a popular name in Austria. It is a name whose popularity has been severely damaged by its association with a certain German dictator. And while the name was once common, it is now rare and may even be illegal to use for newborns in some places due to its connection to Nazi Germany. So his parents have well and truly stitched him up there.
Oh, they have, yeah. So no, I mean, I know that it's when we were in Germany, like we were talking about a lot of this stuff. We actually panicked when we were in Germany because when the Euros was on in Germany, Netflix released a documentary that was about Hitler, Nazi Germany, and everything else, and we used the VPN to watch it, and we were like, "And we're being stupid here. There must be a reason that Netflix in Germany is showing this show. Probably illegal. But yeah, there we go. His parents have done him up like a kipper. Listen, Mark, always a pleasure, mate, to sit here and speak. Viewers, thank you. Make sure you hit the like button before you go and subscribe. United stand 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. today. So make sure you go across there supporting Mark and the team. Plus, that's football watch-alongs this evening as well. There going on. You watch-alongs tonight for the Champions League? Sorry?
Yeah, Liverpool and Galatasaray, Chelsea, Benfica, Mourinho. I think it's an interesting night tonight, yeah.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. It's I'm glad they split Liverpool and Arsenal's nights. I always find that a little bit better when they've done that, to be absolutely honest.
It's PSG Barca tomorrow, isn't it? I think Arsenal's game's a little bit drab.
Yeah, Arsenal's games should be a fairly simple one. So yeah, all good. Listen, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.